I think the consultant has to know that they're an expert communicator. And over communicating, I've never had a customer complain to me about you're calling me too much. You're over communicating. Right. You're sending me too many texts. Stop, please stop. I've never heard that ever in my career. How does the customer win? What's in it for the customer regarding replacing his water pump? Not just the price of it. We're going to get to the how much it is and why it needs to be done, but let them know what really is in it for them from a true value. Value to me is not price. Value is the benefit to the customer.
Welcome to Retention Roadmap, navigating service success for new car dealerships. I'm your host, Bill Springer. Today's podcast is sponsored by DriveSure. DriveSure helps new car dealerships remain the go-to provider for maintenance, tires, and repairs. For information on how DriveSure can help your dealership, go to drivesure.com/dealership solutions. My guest today is Ron Maki, a seasoned fixed operations leader with 38 years of automotive experience, including 20 in dealership retail and 18 in corporate roles. Most recently with Volkswagen of America, Ron has helped lead national and regional initiatives to improve customer satisfaction, service retention, and fixed ops performance. He's developed advisor training programs, contributed insights at the executive level, and brings a strong belief that even in a tech-driven world, it's still about people. Today, we'll talk about how dealerships can use both relationships and technology, like video MPIs and OEM apps, to build trust and loyalty with service customers. Ron, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. I'm happy to join you.
Pleasure to have you here.
Sure.
So let's just jump right in. You're a strong believer that retention starts with relationships, and why is it relational and not transactional in 2025? What's the approach to customer service that, in your mind, is more important than ever before?
So many OEMs and dealer groups are focusing on some of the AI tools and electronic tools that are available to them, which is not bad. It's really helping the industry, no doubt about it. But I think at the end of the day, it still is about relationship with our customers. And it's about interacting with them and building that trust and rapport. Years ago, we used to talk about customers being key tossers, right? They were the kind of customer that they just came in and they tossed their key to you. Well, we still want the key tossers. For those customers that come in, we want them to trust us that much that they would toss their keys to us and say, contact me later. Let me know how it goes, right?
Sure.
Our customers show up to us in three ways. They call us up, they surf up, and they show up. And when they call up, we better be ready for them. We better have the right tools to help that customer navigate and answer the phone, whether it's in person or a BDC type of thing. Be ready for them. If they surf up, same thing. Online, better be ready and prepared. You better have your setups correctly for customers to be able to come in within a reasonable amount of time. And then drive up. And I think the drive up, ultimately they all drive up. But if they show up with an immediate concern, I think that's the very first impression that is critical for our customers.
Sure. From your perspective, Ron, what are some of the kind of practical things that advisors and service managers can do to maintain and create and maintain that personal connection with the customer?
Sure. Years ago, when I stood in the service drive, I used to kind of be bothered by the fact that customers would come in and say, my mechanic said, and I thought, why do you always bring up your mechanic, but you're coming to me? Because that's who they trusted. They trusted the guy with the rag in his back pocket that walked out of the garage that was wiping the grease off of his hands. That's my mechanic. So my desire was how do I myself be my mechanic, and then how do I coach and teach people to be my mechanic? Because if there's anything that a friend of mine or a customer needs, I'm your automotive expert. I'm the guy. I'm my mechanic. Today, some of the electronic tools that we have, like video MPI, I think they're great, and I think people trust technology these days if they see you using technology and so forth. But it's good only to a point. And I think if we put the technology out front of the relational part of our transactions, like it's always been, I think that can be a problem. For example, if a service advisor gets out of his chair and goes out and greets a customer at their vehicle, which is key, first of all, you welcome them, let them know you're happy you're here. Put the tablet or the notepad away. They don't care that you're going to get the VIN number, the mileage,
Mm-hmm.
put a tag number in it. They don't care. The
Yep.
only thing your customer cares about is what they care about. It's what
Right.
they brought it in for today, right? Their check engine light or a vibration in their steering. That's all they care about. So put the notepad, put it away and focus on them and let them know you're happy they arrived and start that relationship that way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more there, Ron. I've read a number of studies regarding the impact of a cell phone, a mobile phone, just being on the table between two people, no one looking at it, just being on the table between two people, and it has a negative impact on the level of trust that the other person has, just having that there, because it signals to the other participant that something may come up that might be more important than what's going on between you and I right now, and that has a negative impact on that overall relationship. So yeah, just even hiding the tablet, is gonna help you establish that level of trust with that customer.
I would encourage it. Literally put it in your belt line behind you and walk out with your hands empty and greet them, ask them, thank them for coming in today and what brings you in and
Sure,
listen.
sure.
Um, yeah.
When you think back, Ron, in terms of your experience in the service drive, um, what do you think has changed the most? In your experience for this typical service advisor, say in 2025 versus pick 10, 20 years ago. What do you think has changed for the better, and what do you think has really remained consistent?
Well, I think the number of things that we pile on our service advisors it has grown. The amount of responsibility that we expect from them. I always I'll give you an example. When I go into a restaurant and I don't get good service, I don't always, and many times I don't even think that it's the waiter or waitress's problem. Same thing with our service advisor. If the advisor has so many obstacles that he has to try to overcome on a daily basis to really do what he's there for, and that's be an expert communicator. That's what we pay them to do, is help our customers navigate through all of the minutia that happens on a day-to-day basis. It's parts, it's delays, it's technical issues, it's the car in front of the one that was supposed to go, you know, off later and yours is delayed. That's why that doesn't change and has never changed. But all of the things that we've added to our consultants, many times it's phone calls, it's checking with parts, it's um, appointments, scheduling reservations, it's follow up, so many things, and some of the things, the technology things that are in the business these days are helpful to that. And I think ideally what they're designed to do, and the intent is to remove some of that burden off our service advisors so they can focus on customer satisfaction, making those
Yeah,
phone calls, proper greeting, proper connection to the customer to build those relationships.
right, right. So let's transition just a bit to talking about using technology to strengthen retention, as well as how to use technology to make that service advisor's job easier. And let's start out with I'm curious on your thoughts on OEM apps.
Mm.
Basically, I think all OEMs have an app that's available to their owners, to their vehicle owners. How can those apps be better leveraged to really create more and earlier customer engagement, so we can um, make sure that we keep them coming back to the dealership for service?
I think one of the things that we spoke about, I think that you and I agreed on earlier, was at the time of new car delivery, we need to be enrolling our customers in those apps. If they leave without being connected to us in some way from a retention standpoint, service, marketing standpoint, campaigns, advertisement, new car, collecting the customer's information and having them ready to receive that information and schedule that first service appointment as well. Um, I've had the opportunity to be pretty familiar with a couple of different OEMs with their online tools or their app, quote unquote. There is one manufacturer that I'm really impressed with. The reason being is when a customer goes online to schedule his reservation, the app goes through a series of questions, and this is part of the AI behind it. Goes through a series of questions that really answers or asks all the questions that the consultant would normally do in the service drive.
Hmm.
When does it happen? How often? How fast? What's the temperature? On and on and on.
Yeah.
And 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 when that gets pushed to the reservation, when the customer arrives at the dealer, it's already built. The entire RO literally is already built for the consultant. They just have to verify all of the information that is already there. So in some ways, that kind of really makes the consultant's job a little bit easier at the time of write up, which is good. And again, back to what I was talking about, letting it assist in our business, but it doesn't change the relational part of it, right?
Right. Right. And what have you seen in terms of process for getting that app downloaded onto the customer's phone? What have you seen process wise that works that, makes it most likely that that customer will
Right.
not only have the app on their phone, but will remember it and use it when the time comes?
Well, I can tell you that for all of the years that I've been in the automotive industry, we've done a horrible job at uh, taking the customer from sales to service.
Yeah.
That handoff, we have never been successful at that.
Hmm.
And I'm going to tell you the reason we're not successful with that is because we rely on our sales partners to do that. Well, there's where the downfall happens. We shouldn't ask the sales department to do things that really is important to us in the service side of the business. So, uh, number one, if you can make that happen, that's the best way to do it, right? Great accountability, and some dealers, make sure that the salesman doesn't get his commission until he signs off in the service department, or there's ways um, to have a backstop to make sure that that's happening. But I would also say, from a service standpoint, just make the reservation. Just make the first reservation and just enroll the customer in the app.
Yep.
Because the worst thing that could happen, Bill, is that the customer might call the store and say, "Hey, I have a reservation 12 months from now. What is this about?" "Oh, that's your first scheduled service appointment. We do that automatically. Our computer system does that. So we'll send you a reminder as it gets closer."
Yeah.
"Oh, great. Thank you." Right?
Right.
That's the worst case. The best case is you get introduced to a service consultant. He makes a reservation for you. He becomes your car guy.
Right. Right. Yeah. And what we've seen too, Ron, is that as more dealerships have service department capacity issues, that when that customer does get ready to schedule that service appointment, if they can't get in within the time frame they're expecting to get in, if they need to wait a week, 10 days, or in some cases even longer, there's a good chance that customer will defect and go somewhere else if they can't
Right.
get the service schedule, their service scheduled when they want it. And by scheduling that service at the time of their last service, it
Mm-hmm.
really does the consumer a favor by saying to them, hey, Ron, we know that you like bringing your car in on your day off on Mondays. And so let's get that scheduled now so that we make sure that we book that appointment for you on that's convenient for you. It's good for the customer. It's good for the dealership. And
Agreed.
it's just one
Totally
less
agree.
thing to have to worry about.
Yes,
You're,
agreed.
you know, my dentist does it. Why
Yeah,
can't all dealerships do it?
it,
So,
crazy. Just do it. Just make the reservation.
right, absolutely. You mentioned earlier about video MPI tools, and we've talked to a number of folks on the podcast who have used video MPI tools and to great impact, and it really does create a new level of transparency with the customer, which leads to a higher level of trust. Curious in terms of what your experience has been with video MPIs and um, uh, what have you seen as the benefits, and what have you seen as perhaps some of the keys to making it work at the dealership level?
Sure. No, it no doubt is um, has transformed Well, remember, I talked about My Mechanic. It's the new My Mechanic because
Yeah,
it's the guy with the rag in his pocket and the greasy hands.
right.
But we have to coach up our technicians to make sure that we're doing it properly and that they can understand it. And um, I've seen video MPIs done poorly. Uh, but for the most part, where the big win is, in my opinion, on video MPI is the customer, if they've never experienced it before, they are dazzled by that.
Hmm.
They're like, that's the belly of my car, and that's my tire, and that's my oil leak. It makes complete sense, and it makes it much easier for the customer to understand that. When a consultant does a walk around in the service drive with the customer at the time of arrival, um, I say that the consultant could identify things that I call our show me things. So if you see unusual tire wear in the service drive, that's a show me, because later on when he goes to call the customer or the customer gets the video MPI, hey, do you remember we saw the tire was wearing unusually in the service drive? My technician, or you saw my technician's video, he showed you what he was talking about and explained what was necessary. So those two pieces connect, and it's, especially on from a safety standpoint, um,
Yeah.
should be really easy for the customer to approve that recommend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and as you said, it does collapse that distance between the vehicle owner and
Yeah.
the technician, which
Well,
provides a a
and
higher
those
level of comfort.
MPI tools, the management, the manager can go in and look and see how many times it was viewed, and many
Yeah,
times if it's a first time customer that's ever experienced that, he's sending it to his wife, he's sending it to his neighbor and his friend, and or
yeah,
if the customer doesn't know much about cars, they'll also forward it to someone who might be more familiar with automotive and the workings of the vehicle.
sure, sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Talking about you spent a lot of your career on service advisor training, and I want to get your opinion on and your thoughts on training and culture in a dealership. Um, and you've built a number of training programs for service advisors from scratch. What, from your perspective, Ron, are kind of some of the non-negotiables for getting advisors aligned on customer retention?
I think I think the consultant has to know that they're an expert communicator. And over communicating, I've never had a customer complain to me about you're calling me too much. You're over
Right.
communicating. You're
Yeah.
sending me too many texts.
Yeah.
Stop, please stop. People, I've never heard that ever in my career. Um, I expect a service consultant to get up out of his chair and go greet a customer, and to
Mhm.
meet them at their vehicle, to ask permission to get into the vehicle because it's their private space, to be respectful. And then as they do the walk around, a walk around also to me non-negotiable, keep eye contact with the customer as you're doing the walk around, actually walk backwards, and then look for what I call connectors with the customer. It could be a logo on their shirt, a golf hat, perhaps, maybe a child seat in the car, set of golf clubs, a bumper sticker. My child was student of the month. Those are things that you would connect with the customer on to let them know that you're interested in them and that you care about them and their business. Wow, I see that your son goes to Buena Vista Elementary. Wow, that's fantastic. Great job. How
Mhm.
many kids do you have? And right, that's so you have to break down that because people have anxiety like when you go to the dentist, people have anxiety when they come to the dealership and they don't know what to expect. Um, the other thing that I was going to mention in talking about greeting a customer quickly and at their vehicle, we've all experienced at a restaurant when you sit down and you're kind of have that, well, who's my waiter, and you see all the busyness going on in the restaurant, and you're wondering who's taking care of me. I have no idea. Our customers had the exact same feeling when they pull into our service drive and they sit there.
Yeah.
I see all these people busy and porters are moving cars and there's other advisors with customer. Where's my person? I,
Right.
like all of a sudden that anxiety, so that makes your job that much harder. So again, greeting them at the car, I think is the very first impression and most critical.
Sure. In talking about service advisors and their impact on long-term customer loyalty, when you think about exceptional service advisors, behavior of exceptional service advisors versus even just, competent or average service advisors, what do you think? Is there anything that kind of sets them apart that really allows them to have a strong connection with that customer that to help bring that customer back time and time again?
Yeah, I think when I was in the dealer role and hiring consultants, I didn't necessarily, and I think this has happened more in our industry now than before, didn't necessarily look for someone that had automotive experience, because what I realized is I couldn't teach someone how to smile and how to care and how to be enthusiastic. I could teach them the DMS system, and I could teach them about the product and about the inner workings of the dealer and how things happen and the processes at the dealer level. I could teach them all that, but I couldn't teach them a great attitude. And
Hmm.
I actually had a technician, and I recall him, a technician that was a Service Express technician for me that I hired because he wouldn't stop smiling. A technician, imagine that. And he worked for me for years, just because, and he was always happy to
Yeah,
show up, happy to take the job, happy to do the work, happy to talk to a customer. It was crazy. I love the guy because he just had a great attitude.
that's great.
Yeah.
As we wrap up here, Ron, I wanted to ask you about the value versus price conundrum that we all everyone runs up against, and how do you help shift the conversation to value from price for the service advisor? From your perspective, Ron, what kind of language works best when talking about benefits like safety, peace of mind, long term vehicle health, that type of thing? What are some of the keys to helping that service advisor be successful in shifting away from price?
Yeah, I think, well, in my opinion, I think price is more important from a maintenance standpoint, right? You have to be competitive with your local market on price, because a customer can go online and check a price for an oil service or a rotate and balance somewhere else. That you have to be competitive with that. But I also think that we get hung up sometimes on the price and the what I would call the black and white of the repair. For example, customer brings his vehicle in, you write it up, you have a technician check it. The customer knows it has a coolant leak. That's why he brought it in. We call him up and say, Mr. Customer, it needs a water pump. It's leaking. Um, yes, but how does the customer win? Like, what's in it for the customer regarding replacing his water pump? Not
Hmm.
just the price of it. The price we hope to be fair and competitive because we are the experts. We have the tools. We only work on one kind of vehicle, theirs, and they're factory trained, of course. Um, so all of those things should set the duck for you. But what you have to tell the customer is how they win. So you mentioned it: peace of mind, comfort, safety, security. Hey, I know you're going to go to Arizona this weekend, and you should be 100% confident and feel safe driving it to Phoenix, this weekend.
Right.
Well, isn't that really what the customer wants to know? Not just how much it is.
Hmm.
We're going to get to the how much it is and why it needs to be done, but let them know what really is in it for them from a true value. Value to me is not price. Value is the benefit to the customer. And
Yeah.
I have a list that I've used in my career for training that are benefit words for customers. When you're talking to a customer, they care about the benefits and how they win and what makes them feel good about doing this repair. That's important. And
Right.
again, back to the relational instead of the black and white transactional.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Ron, you've given us a lot to think about today. If any of our listeners would like to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. It's Ron Maki, my email, Ron Maki, fixed ops, Ron Maki fixed ops at gmail.com.
Okay, super. We'll include that in the show notes. And
Great.
Ron, thanks very much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Glad to be here, Bill, and you be well.
Thank you. You as well. You've been listening to Retention Roadmap: Navigating Service Success for New Car Dealerships. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.